is up for a full-scale confrontation with the rebel Catalans. I'll be joined from Madrid by the Spanish Foreign Minister, Alfonso Dastis.
Andrew, thank you. Good morning. Huge demonstrations took place in Barcelona last night as the political crisis in Spain deepens. The Spanish government has said it plans to impose direct rule on Catalonia after the region's leaders staged an independence referendum. Tom Burridge sent this report from Barcelona.
Angrier than ever before, Catalans who want independence digesting Madrid's unprecedented move to temporarily scrap their devolved government. The leader of Catalonia's devolved government in the crowd.
This is the worst attack on the institutions and people of Catalonia since the dictatorship of Franco.
Earlier, Spanish ministers approved what's known here as the nuclear option. In a few days, Catalan autonomy will be suspended, the regional government sacked, all of its responsibilities run from Madrid. Prime Minister Rajoy said Catalan leaders will not be allowed to destroy the whole way in which Spain is governed.
The key test will come when Madrid tries to physically take control of the Catalan authorities. Will the Catalan police and other local officials follow the Spanish government's orders or disobey?
A new country won't appear through words, even as they will it to happen. They know too that bearing down on them is the all-powerful Spanish state. Tom Burridge, BBC News in Barcelona.
Mail on Sunday has a story about the army being so short of soldiers that they're keeping on recruits who have admitted to using cocaine. The Observer has the Catalan story right on the front. Spain announces direct rule to crush Catalan rebellion. The Sunday Telegraph also has a big Catalan picture on the front there, and a story about Theresa May changing her policy a bit on the universal credit issue, where we had that vote in the House of Commons, highly controversial last week. And then the Sunday Times has got a story. They've won a big battle on gambling sites, and another one on hero interpreters, they say, and that is the Queen of Spain doing her bit, trying to put the case for Madrid in the north of Spain there. So lots to talk about. And to the other huge story of the day, you've got two front pages here, but they're not British newspapers. The first is El País, published, of course, from Madrid, and the second one is, I think, a Catalan. Oh, no, Chuka's got the Catalan newspaper.
I've got the Catalan one.
So let's start with Theresa.
Yes, well, El País is clearly a very unionist paper on these kind of matters, and it's giving strong support in its editorial to the Spanish government and the very tough action that the Spanish government seems to be about to embark on. It's incredibly difficult for them. I remember sort of when I was in the cabinet during the Scotland referendum, and David Cameron used to report back on some of his discussions with other EU ministers, and the Spanish were kind of bemused at the idea of voluntarily giving a part of the country a referendum. But now I think we are seeing the advantages of that approach, to have the referendum, to have the debate, to make a positive case for the Union in the UK.
Do you remember that 1959 film, what was it, The Mouse That Roared, with Peter Sellers?
Absolutely.
They could do a little sort of a major reworking with Antonio Banderas.
It was the Free State in Pimlico. No, it was
the Duchy of Grand Fenwick, I think it was called.
Duchy of Grand Fenwick, yes.
That
and
invaded
America as well.
in pursuit of its independence.
But you can't. I think the thing is, once the genie is out of the bottle on these things, you can't just pretend away the debate and muzzle it. And actually, if the Spanish government had adopted a different approach, they probably wouldn't be in the position they're in now.
And you've got La Razzo, it's called,
yes,
which is a Spanish Catalan
That's
newspaper.
Right.
Very, very different view.
Yes, and of course, you know,
a lot of anger.
There's huge anger. And I mean, the interesting thing, actually, I was in the Catalunian region over the summer period. There isn't one view in Catalunya on this, and the pro-independence mood around Barcelona is not necessarily reflected across Catalonia. And if the Spanish government let democracy do its work, do a proper poll as we did in Scotland, I honestly don't think they would be in this situation. It's a point we can put to the Spanish Foreign Minister very shortly. Before we sense that Britain is the only major problem facing the EU has been blown away in the last few weeks by the crisis in northern Spain, where many Catalans want to break away from Madrid. There were brutal scenes as police disrupted an informal referendum, and overnight the Spanish government has decided to suspend Catalonia's autonomy and rule directly. The Spanish Foreign Minister, Alfonso Dastis, joins me live from Madrid. Thank you for joining us, Minister. The leader of the Catalan movement, Mr. Puigdemont, has said this is the worst crisis to face his part of Spain since the days of General Franco, and it is in effect a coup d'etat.
Well, thank you for having me, Andrew. I'm delighted to be in one of my favorite TV programs. If this is a coup d'etat, if there is a coup d'etat at all, is the one that has been, followed by the Mr. Puigdemont and his government. What we are doing is following strictly the provision of our constitutions, which are in no way exceptional. They are a carbon copy of the German constitution, and it's a kind of provision that you can see in many Western constitutions.
It's of course very, very different from our system. A lot of people look at what happened here in Scotland, where the Scots were given a legal referendum and made their own choice. If the people of Catalonia want to break away from Spain, is there any legal way for them to do so?
Well, there is a legal way. We have to study it and work through the possible amendment of the Constitution. But in any case, what it is clear is that this is a matter to be decided by the whole of the Spanish people. A part cannot decide for the whole. I know that you have the President of Scotland, but yours is a very different history and constitutional setting. And honestly, I think you are a bit of an exception. If you look at the rest of democracies and certainly partners in the European Union, they wouldn't accept a decision as such that to be taken by a part of the country.
That means, in effect, that the Catalans cannot by themselves decide to be independent. They would have to persuade people all across Spain to agree with them, which in turn seems very unlikely. Now, you have suspended Catalans' autonomy. You're waiting for the Spanish Senate on Friday, I think, to ratify that. After that happens, you've said that Mr. Puigdemont, the leader of the Catalan movement, is going to be removed from his position. He is clearly determined to carry on. He's going to go into his office, he's going to go into the Catalan parliament. What do you actually do? Do you arrest him? What happens?
No, we are not going to arrest anyone. And by the way, we are not going to suspend the autonomy or the self-rule. It is them who have been, in fact, disregarding the norms and the rules that govern the Catalan autonomy. And all the government is trying to do, and reluctantly, is to reinstate the legal order, restore the constitution, but also the Catalan rules, and proceed from there.
But Mr. Puigdemont goes into the Catalan parliament and says, I don't accept what Madrid are telling us. We're going to carry on as before, and I'm going to carry on as the leader of this parliament, and we're going to have our debates as before. What do you then do?
Well, we are going to establish the authorities who are going to rule, the day-to-day affairs of Catalonia, according, as I said, to the Catalan laws and norms. And what we are trying to do is to restore normalcy, to restore togetherness for the sake of all Catalans, preserving their basic public services and their rights and freedoms, and then end up calling an early election in Catalonia to give, the word, their say to the Catalan people.
I understand that. I'm still struggling to understand in practical terms what actually happens. Do you, for instance, suspend and replace the head of the Catalan police?
Well, how do we do it? We disregard, and I hope everyone will disregard whatever instructions they will be planning to give, because they will not have the legal authority to do that once the Senate has authorized the government.
So you're calling on people in Catalonia to disregard what the Catalan police and the leader of the Catalan parliament tells them to do, to ignore them?
No, you mean the Catalan police? I didn't hear that very well.
I was asking you.
Yes, they won't have the authority, the legal authority, once the Senate has authorized to the implementation of the Spanish Constitution, they won't have any legal authority. So they would be equal to anyone who a group of rebels trying to impose their own arbitrariness onto the whole people of Catalonia.
So stop listening to the Catalan police. At that point, do you have to bring in the Spanish police and possibly the Spanish army to keep order in Catalonia?
No, it's not a matter of bringing in either the Spanish police or the, let alone the army. We hope that the regional police, once put under the control of people who are, who respect and who uphold the Catalan rules and the Spanish rules, everything will be fine. There will be law and order and peaceful coexistence and normal life in Catalonia, which is what we are after.
It's also been suggested that you're going to suspend the pro-independence Catalan television station. Is that true?
I don't know whether we are going to do that. We want to ensure that there is a plural view of what Catalonia is about in all the audiovisual services. That is true, yes.
You do make it all sound very gentle at the moment, but we have seen those scenes of police taking women by the hair out of polling stations, smashing up polling boxes and so forth. It appears to be a very brutal situation there.
No, I don't think there is any brutal situation. Look, I think by now many of those pictures have been proven to be fake pictures.
Really?
And that was, if there was any use of force, it was a limited one, and prompted by the fact that the law and order agencies were prevented from discharging the orders of the courts.
So you're saying that those pictures that people saw of Spanish police intervening aggressively in polling stations are all fake pictures? They didn't happen?
No, I'm not saying that all are fake pictures, but some of them are. And, there has been a lot of alternative facts and fake news here. As I said, if there was at all, according to the pictures, there was some use of force, it was not a deliberate use of force, it was a provoked use of force.
Forgive me for going to a domestic issue of interest in Britain here, but you were part, obviously, of the summit at Brussels. And I just wondered, is your understanding that enough has been done for there to be talks between Britain and the rest of the EU on their future relationships and trade by the end of the year?
Well, I hope we'll be able to do that. We have seen a new atmosphere and a new attitude from the UK government since Prime Minister May's speech in Florence. We are waiting for that new attitude to be transposed into position papers in the negotiating table. But we are hopeful that we will, we are going to start our internal preparations, the 27, and we are hopeful that in the end we will be able to find an agreement that is good for both the UK and the European Union.
But it may not happen. There's been some talk of no deal. In that situation, there are 750,000 British people living in Spain at the moment. What would be their status if there was not a deal between the UK and the EU?
Well, as I said, I do hope that there will be a deal. If there is no deal, we will make sure that the lives of ordinary people who are in Spain, the UK people, is not disrupted. As you know, the relationship between the UK and Spain is a very close one in terms of economic relations and also social social exchanges. Over 17 million Brits come to Spain every year, and many of them live here or retire here, and we want to keep it that way as much as possible.
All right, Mr. Dastis, thank you very much.